Now, I Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, we can start. All right, so today we are looking at sport safety and security. So under port safety and security, we will look at sport security under RSPS code. We will consider occupational health and safety, emergency response systems, and the role of International Maritime Organization in port security. So we know that safety is very important and we cannot joke with it when it comes to port operations. And security is something that we should also make sure that we are indeed ensuring security at the port to help the employees how best we can also protect them. So in our homes or maybe in our daily, so we know very well that even before you move your own car, you try to check if you have your brake is working, or the other, you have engine oil and all that, just to make sure that at least when you are on the road, nothing bad is going to happen. Before you leave home, you make sure you check that indeed you are going to lock the door so that no outsider can really go in and then take something. So when we go to the ports operations, we need to also make sure that safety and security is something that we are also taking note of. And then at the end of the day, we are there to protect the people that are working and those that will also come around, and then the goods that we have, because we need to make sure that there are places that unauthorized people cannot just enter. And without right security measures in place, they may just go there and then something bad may happen. And at the end of the day, the entire organization has to make sure that they are going to resolve it. So it is extremely important to look at safety and security in our port operations. So when we talk of the safety, the port safety focuses on preventing accidents and protecting human life and infrastructure. And then the port security is actually looking at how best we are also going to protect ourselves against intentional threats such as terrorism, smuggling, and piracy. So both are highly interrelated and essential for sustainable portward operations. So once we are operating, we are making sure that indeed we are doing everything possible to prevent accidents. So that at the end of the day, we are going to protect the human life and then the infrastructure that we have. Because if we are not adhering to the safety practices, the infrastructure that we have around, we can damage everything. And at the end of the day, it is going to cost us to look for money to build that again. And we need to make sure that the entire organization is actually adhering to safety practices to help us to prevent accidents. And then we are also looking at the security aspects that is actually helping us to protecting us against intentional threats. So smuggling of goods, we need to make sure that we are protecting that, we don't allow that to happen. Places that people cannot just enter, they don't have any access. We will not allow them to go there. So that is ports and port safety and security for us. So we look at the port security under the International Ship and Port Facility Security World Code. So the port security under the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code refers to the structured measures and procedures established to safeguard port facilities, ships, cargo, and personnel against security threats such as terrorism, smuggling, piracy, and then the sabotage. So the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code was developed and enforced by the International Maritime Organization. So this is telling us that indeed, once we are operating, security is also key. And that is how come International Ship and Port Facility Security Code is there to help us make sure that we are indeed working and the port authorities are also protecting the things that we have, the people that are working over there, the materials and everything. They are also making sure that they are protecting the people over there so that at the end of the day, we will not have issues. Okay, so we then look at the objectives of port security under the ISPS code. So the ISPS code aims to detect and assess security threats in ports and ships. It is establishing preventive security measures. It defines roles and responsibilities for government, port authorities, and shipping companies. And it is also enhancing coordination between port facilities and the vessels. So that these are the objectives of port security under the ISPS code. Then we look at the core elements of ISPS port security. One is the port facility security assessment. So there is a need for a systematic evaluation of potential vulnerabilities in port facilities. And this is helping us to identify critical assets, threats, and weaknesses. And then it helps us to form the basis for developing security strategies, the strategies that we can use to overcome the threats, the weaknesses. Okay, then the next thing is the port facility security plan. So we have the port facility security assessment. So when we do the assessment, after doing a systematic evaluation, we will know potential vulnerabilities in our port facilities. That, okay, we need to do servicing of our crane. We need to do servicing of our forklift. When we fail to do the servicing, it may result in an accident. And then, so when we do the evaluation, that is going to help us to identify critical assets, the threats, and then weaknesses that we need to work on. Once we are doing this, then indeed, we can now develop security strategies to overcome the challenges or the issues, the threats that we may identify. So after the port facility security assessment, which is PFSA, we look at port facility security plan. So this is where we need to have a document plan outlining procedures to address identified risk. And then this could include access control, cargo handling security, emergency response, and communication protocols. Must be approved by the designated authority. So the port facility security plan is a documented plan that is actually outlining the procedures. So whenever there is a risk, how do we then address it? Where do we report to? The right or the appropriate authority that we need to go and then report to. And then so we know the communication protocols. Maybe you have to report it to your supervisor. Then your supervisor will also go and report it to the safety unit. Or so the document will help us to know the procedures that we need to follow to help us to address the risk. So that is the port facility security plan. Then we come to the port facility security officer, who is responsible for implementing and maintaining the port facility security operations. So this person is actually there to make sure that indeed we are implementing and then maintaining the port facility security plan that we have. So the port facility security officer is responsible for implementing and maintaining the port facility security plan that we have, so that you know where to report an incident to. So the port facility security officer is actually coordinating with the ship security officers and company security officers. And then they do conduct training, they do drills, and then audits to make sure that indeed the organization is actually adhering to the international standards that is helping us to enjoy the peace for us to operate, okay, and sustain the business as well. So we have security levels under the ISPS code. We have the security level 1, which is known as the normal. Then we have the security level 2, that is the heightened. And then we have the security level 3, that is the exceptional. So the security level 1 is looking at the routine protective measures that are helping us to maintain at all the times. So routine protective measures are maintained at all times to help the organization to operate. So protective measures that once you enter, you know that before you go and work, you need to probably clock in, or you need to sign for us to know that indeed you are in and you are the one going to work. And then the 2 is looking at additional protective measures that are implemented due to increased what risk. So additional protective measures, maybe you need to make sure that where you are going to work, you need your helmet, or you need a safety boot, or you need maybe a safety clothes to be able to help you to enter into that zone. So you need to make sure that you put it on. Then we have the security level 3, which is an exceptional. This is a specific security measures that are applied when a threat is imminent or probable. So we may give maybe the security officer something that you can use to save a situation, or yes, or to salvage a situation when you know that there is a serious danger. How do you then do that? So in some organizations today can tell you that yes, even if you are the operator and you sense a serious danger, you can do ABC to help us salvage the situation. So that is the security level 3. Or sometimes you can go to an area and then you raise an alarm for us to know that. So we may give you a communication device, like maybe you may have a Motorola that will help you to communicate, so that at least you call the right authority to come and then help you solve that situation. So that is the security level 3. Then we look at the key port security measures. So when we look at the key port security measures, 1, we have the access control the access control is looking at how best we can restrict entry to port facilities. And so here we check people with the right ID cards, or we have biometric systems in place to help us, especially at the security checkpoint. So if you are not a staff, there are places that we know that you cannot just go, you cannot pass there, you don't have access to that place. So there is an access control. You need to control access so that we don't end up allowing people who are not supposed to go to certain zones to go there. And then there's a need for monitoring and surveillance. So we need CCTV systems and patrols in place to help us. And then we need lighting and even perimeter fencing to help us to do our monitoring so that we know that if people are trying to come and then they don't have access quickly, we can detect it. And then there's the need for cargo and then the package screening. So where we have to make sure we are inspecting our containers and then the vehicles. So we can use scanners and detection equipment to help us do that. And then we need communication systems. We need communication systems. So we need to make sure that we are providing reliable communication between the port authorities, ships, and then the security agencies so that we can relay information at the right time to the stakeholders. And then we need to make sure that we have training and drills. So we should ensure regular security exercises for port personnel and then emergency preparedness and response training for our people. So we've now discussed the 5 key port security measures that we need to take note of. Okay, so we look at occupational health and safety. Occupational health and safety. So the occupational health and safety refers to the policies, the procedures, and practices designed to protect the health, safety, and welfare of workers within the port environment. So when we look at the high-risk nature of port activities, such as the cargo handling, heavy equipment operations, and vessel movement, occupational health and safety is a critical pillar of terminal operations management. So this occupational health and safety in port involves the identification, assessment, and control of workplace hazards to prevent accidents, injuries, and occupational diseases. So it aligns with international standards set by organizations like the International Labour Organization and complements maritime safety framework from the International Maritime Organization. So occupational health and safety will help us to be able to identify, we have to do an assessment, and then we have to do a control of workplace hazards. So when we talk about workplace hazards, who will help us to understand what a workplace hazard is, what a workplace hazard is? Who will help us? So when we talk about a workplace hazard, what will you say? We want to control workplace hazards. And we will say, what are hazards? When we talk about hazards.
Hello, sir.
Yes, James.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, so when we talk of workplace hazard, it can be anything within the working environment that can cause harm, injury, or damage to the workers.
Okay. Yes, so anything that has the potential to cause harm, yes, to the workers. So that is the workplace hazards that we need to make sure that we are indeed preventing. Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Yes. So we are looking at the key components of occupational health and safety in ports. So one is hazard identification and risk assessment. So in the first place, we need to know things that can cause potential harm to the entire place, the working environment. And so there's a need for hazard identification and risk assessment. We may have goods that people even they are not aware that these things will cause a serious harm. So there's a need for us to identify that, and then we do the risk assessment. So we need to identify the physical, chemical, economic, and even biological hazards that we have in the workplace. And then we have to do the risk analysis of the operations, such as the loading, unloading, stacking, and transportation. We need to be able to identify and then do the risk assessment. Then the next thing is the safety policies and procedures. So there's a need for us to have standard operating procedures, SOPs. So we need to develop standard operating procedures to help us so that we can follow to work. And then at the end of the day, we will not have issues. And then we have to make sure that the policies and the procedures, we are making sure that we are enforcing the safety rules and compliance measures in our workplace so that at the end of the day, people can also work and they will not have problems at the end of the day. We can prevent the accident and incident. Then we need to have personal protective equipment. So the use of helmets, the gloves, the reflective vest, safety boots, and then goggles to help us. So we have mandatory PPE compliance for all personnel. So we have certain key chemicals that when you are going to work, or we have a zone that if you want to enter there, you need to make sure you are on certain PPEs that are mandatory for you, that are mandatory. So if you don't have it, then the organization, it can really take a decision by even sacking you or maybe punishing you, or maybe, yes, you need to meet the committee to help you so that at the end of the day, it is going to serve as a great warning to the others. Okay, so there are places that once you want to enter the authorities are saying that you need to have a helmet. And once you don't have it, you cannot enter. We may have certain chemicals that before you can touch, you need to make sure maybe you have a rubber gloves on before you can touch it. There are places that before you can go, you need to make sure you have reflective vests. So these are maybe mandatory PPEs that organization may tell you before you enter such a place, you need to make sure you have ABC before you can go there. Then we need to also look at training and awareness. Training and awareness. So we need to do regular safety training programs, emergency response drills, safety signage and communication. That we need to have a signage telling the people, that the workers or visitors, that before you enter this place, you need to make sure you have your safety boots on. Before you go to this zone, you have to make sure you have a reflective vest. So if you don't have a reflective vest, you cannot enter there. So we should have safety signage and communication to help people know what they need to do. And then we need to make sure that there is a health surveillance to help us. So we need to do a routine medical checkups for the workers. We need to monitor their exposure to hazardous or substances to know that if we need to do job rotation, then we'll do that. Or there are measures that we need to put in place. We'll do that quickly to protect our workers. And then incident reporting and investigation. So we need to make sure we are ensuring documentation of accidents and near misses. Okay, so that we will know the root cause. We will do our root cause analysis, and then we can have the right corrective measures or actions in place. And so if there is the organization is having any incident, we need to report it. So incident reporting will help us to do the investigation. So once we report it, the safety department will also take it upon themselves to investigate. They have to go out there and then investigate it to know. Once they are doing that, they need to make sure that they are documenting it. And then even a near miss, they have to make sure they are also documenting it. And that is going to, the investigation will help us to know the root cause, what actually caused that. And at the end of the day, we can now come out with the corrective measures so that it will not happen again. Okay, so we look at the common occupational hazards imports. So we have physical hazards where heavy machinery, noise, vibration, falling objects are there. So these are the physical hazards. And then we have the chemical hazards. So exposure to hazardous what can maybe oil or chemicals or gases. Then we have economic hazards. So we also have economic hazards. That is, it has to do with repetitive tasks, poor lifting techniques. And then we also have environmental hazards. That is extreme weather conditions, poor lighting, all that. Then we have biological hazards. So exposure to waste, pests, or contaminated water. So these are the common occupational hazards imports. Okay, so we look at the importance of occupational health and safety in port operations. One, it is helping us to reduce workplace accidents and then fatalities. And then two, it is enhancing employee productivity and morale. And three, it is minimizing operational disruptions. Four, it is ensuring legal and regulatory compliance. And then five, it is helping us to improve on organizational reputation and sustainability. Okay, so these are the best practices for occupational health and safety in ports. One, we need to ensure regular safety audits and inspections. Two, there must be a strong safety culture and leadership commitment. Three, there's a need for us to make use of modern technology, such as automation, sensors, and artificial intelligence monitoring. And then we need to also look at collaboration with stakeholders, that is the management, workers, and then the regulators. And then there is a need for us to ensure continuous improvement and feedback mechanisms. These are the best practices for occupational health and safety ports. Okay, then the challenges in implementing occupational health and safety. One, inadequate training and awareness. Two, non-compliance with safety procedures. Three, limited resources and infrastructure. Four, human error and negligence. And five, weak enforcement of regulations in some developing countries. Okay, then we look at emergency response systems. Emergency response system. So in ports, emergency response systems refer to the structured frameworks, procedures, resources, and technologies put in place to prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies such as fires, oil spills, accidents, security threats, and natural disasters. So emergency response systems in ports refer to the structured frameworks, procedures, resources, and technologies put in place to prepare for. So we prepare for because it is an emergency, something that when it happens, it needs an immediate response. We cannot wait. So there is a need for us to put in place by preparing. So we need to prepare for. So you see that we may have fire extinguishers all over, and we train people to know how best they can use it. So prepare for. We should have people with the right knowledge of handling it and the materials or the resources that are needed to fight the fire. We have it in the organization. So prepare for, we do that and respond to. We have people on standby who are ready to respond to the situation as soon as there is a call or there is a signal or there is an alarm. We have people on standby to respond to that. And when we do that, it is going to help us to recover from the emergencies. So there could be a fire outbreak, but because we are prepared and we have the fire extinguishers in place and we can respond to it at the right time, we can quench the fire. At the end of the day, when we quench the fire, we will save the situation and we can recover from the emergencies. Okay, so these systems are essential for what? Minimizing loss of life. When we do this, it will help us to minimize loss of life, environmental damage, and operational disruptions. So emergency response systems in ports encompass planning, coordination, communication, and execution with mechanisms that ensure rapid and effective action during what? Crisis. So they are guided by international frameworks from the International Maritime Organization and occupational safety standards from the International Labour Organizations. So that is about emergency response systems. Okay, so we will now look at the key components of emergency response systems. So when we look at the key component one, we have emergency response plan. We need to have emergency response plan. This is a documented plan outlining the procedures for different emergency scenarios. Sorry, so thank you. So emergency response plan. So when we look at the key component of emergency response systems, we have emergency response plan. So this is a documented plan outlining the procedures for different emergency scenarios. So when it has to do with fire, how do we then respond to it? When it has to do with maybe a spillage of an oil, how do we then salvage the situation? So it includes evacuation routes that we need to have, roles that individuals are going to play, and response strategies. So we need to do a regular review and updating it to help us have a very good emergency response plan in the organization. So the next component that we need to also look at is emergency response team. Once we have emergency response plan, we need to also have emergency response team. So these are the trained personnel who are responsible for managing emergencies. So we may have those when there is a fire outbreak, we will call them. When there is a chemical spillage, we have those that we will call them. So we train these people. So these people must receive training to help them. So emergency response team are the well-trained personnel responsible for managing emergencies. So if we may have fire marshals, we may have medical responders, and we may have security officers. So once it has to do with security threats, we will then invite the security officers to go and then fight for that. Then the next component has to do with communication systems, because there is a need for real-time communication channels that is going to help us, so that at the end of the day, we can now relay the information to the right team to respond to the situation. So we need communication systems to help us do that. So we may have radio, we have alarms, we may have public address systems to help us do that. Then the next thing is emergency equipment and facilities. So we need to have firefighting systems, extinguishers, maybe fire hydrants around for us to help us. So in terms of spillage, we may have spill containment equipment, that is the booms and then the skimmers we can use to do that. And then we need to have first aid kits and ambulances around to help us, and then emergency control centers. Okay, and then training and drills. So we need to do regular simulation exercises, fire drills, evacuation drills, capacity building for workers and emergency teams. Yes, so these are the key components of emergency response teams. Then we can look at types of emergencies in ports. Fire and explosions is one, oil spill and environmental incidents. We may have industrial accidents, we may have security incidents, and then we may have natural disasters. So these are the types of emergencies in ports. Okay, then we look at the emergency response process. So the emergency response process, once we really want to respond to an emergency, we need to go through this process. So one has to do with the preparedness. So where we do our risk assessment and contingency work planning. Then we do resource allocation and training. Then in terms of response, we look at immediate activation of emergency protocols, evacuation and rescue operations, and then containment of hazards. Then we look at recovery, so restoration of operations, damage assessment and repair, and then we look at environmental work cleanup. And then finally, we look at mitigation, whereby we are going to look at how best we do an implementation of what corrective measures. Then we also have to think about learning from incidents to prevent recurrence in the organization. Then we look at the role of technology in emergency response. Once we have technology in place, early warning systems and sensors must be there. So we have fire detectors, smoke detectors, and then all that in place for early warning systems and sensors. We need to have it. Then geographic information systems for incident mapping is also necessary. Drones for surveillance and damage assessment is also key. And then automated alarm and detection systems that we need to also have. Okay. Right, then we look at importance of emergency response systems. One is it's just for us to protect lives and reduce what injuries. And then it is going to help us to minimize environmental damage. It is going to help us to ensure business what continuity. And then it is going to help us to enhance compliance with safety regulations. And then finally, we can build stakeholder what confidence. So building of stakeholder confidence once we have emergency response systems in place. Yes, and then these are the challenges in port emergency response. Poor coordination among stakeholders, inadequate infrastructure and equipment, limited training and preparedness, delayed response times, and then communication work breakdowns. Then we look at best practices that we need to make sure that we are embarking on to help the organizations, the ports to operate and sustain our businesses. One, integration of the ERS will help us so that at the end of the day, we have overall port safety and security systems. We need to do regular drills and then simulations, strong collaboration with national emergency agencies, continuous monitoring and improvement, and adoption of what international standards and guidelines to help us. So these are the best practices. Then these are the role of, we look at the role of International Maritime Organization in port security. So the International Maritime Organization, that is IMO, plays a central role in strengthening port security globally by developing regulatory frameworks, setting standards, and facilitating what cooperation among maritime nations. So as a specialized agency of the United Nations, the IMO ensures that port and ships operate within a secure, standardized, and coordinated international system. So these are the role of the International Maritime One: development of global security frameworks, International Ship and Port Security Code, establishment of security standards and regulations. Yeah, so then risk assessment and security planning, capacity building, and technical assistance. Then monitoring, compliance, and auditing, facilitation of international cooperation, and then addressing emerging security threats and enhancing trade and economic security. Okay, so when we look at this small case, and then we see, so who is actually reading the case for us? Can we all see the case?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So are we reading it so that we will discuss it?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Can I read, sir?
Yes. For help us.
Yeah. Case study: port safety and security. The Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority has recently experienced a rise in security and safety incident at the Tema Port. Reports indicate increased cases of unauthorized access to restricted area, cargo privilege, and a near fatal accident involving a crane operator due to poor adherence to safety protocols. Although the report operates under international standards such as the International Maritime Organization regulations and International Ship and Port Facility Security Code, internal audits and gaps in staff training, surveillance system, and enforcement of procedures. Port management is concerned that these issues could affect trade efficiency, investors' confidence, and national security if not addressed promptly.
Okay, so we look at the questions. So one, what are the key safety and security issues identified in the case? Two, why is port safety and security important in this context? Three, what role does the ISPS code play in port security? Four, what are the possible causes of the identified challenges? Five, suggest practical measures to improve port safety and security. Six, how can technology enhance port safety and security? And then finally, what are the consequences of poor port safety and security? So can we write the questions down?
Okay, sir.
Do we all have the questions now?
Please, I'm almost done, sir. Not yet.
James, what about you?
I'm done, sir.
You are done, eh? Abby, are you there? Stephanie? Hello, Abby. Okay, so Paul, can we look at the case
Yes,
again?
sir. Sir, we can. Yes,
Okay,
we can.
okay, okay, all right. So now, the first question is asking of what are the key safety and security issues identified in the case? So can we please identify the key safety and security issues in the case? Yima, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. But I'm doing check-in at the airport. That is why I'm quiet. I'm following, sir.
Yes. Okay.
But sir, I can answer the first question.
Okay.
So one is unauthorized access to restricted areas, and also
Okay.
operational safety failure. Is a near fatal crane, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And also cargo pilferage.
Yes. Is there anything else that someone will also add? Because Yima has given us 4. Unauthorized access, the cargo thefts, poor safety protocols, equipment related accident risk. That is, so he has given us 4. Can anyone also add something to it? So we could also see that the report also indicated that there is a weak surveillance system in place. Can we all see that? Can we all see?
Yes, sir. Sir, we can see, sir. Yes.
Okay. So at least we have 5 points there, right? Are we on the
Yes.
same page? Okay, so can we look at the question 2? Why is post safety and security important in this context? Why is it important? Why is post safety and security important in this context? Why? Hello, Bob.
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Abby, Stephanie.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Prince, yes. So why is sports safety and security important in this context?
To protect life and property.
Wait.
This friend of.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah, so you've given us one, right?
Yes, sir.
Protection of human lives. Right up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see your network. You've given us one.
Yes, I'm just protect human life and also property.
Yes, great.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So cargo loss and operational downtime reduces revenue also.
Okay. So to prevent financial losses.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
This is an
Yeah.
economic
To
impact.
prevent, yeah. Yes, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sir,
Please, we
also,
should take note because the cases that we are solving, anything can happen. Oh.
all right, sir, I have one.
Maybe you know that.
I know, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So also there is under the security also, ports are critical infrastructure vulnerable to threat. So they are very vulnerable to threat.
Yes. So yes, that is true. Yes, that is true. And there is a need for us to also safeguard our national and international security. Yes, it is true. We need to safeguard national and international security. Yes, and also at the end of the day, the reputation and competitiveness of the port is important. So they will enhance the reputation and competitiveness of the port. Yes, and it is also important because it is going to ensure smooth trade operations. Okay, so we've stated 5. I believe we all have the 5 now. Stephanie.
Sir, we do.
Okay. So what role does the ISPS code play in ports security?
Sir,
Yes.
so for the ISPS, right? The code,
Yes.
they serve as a regulatory framework which ensures standardized security protocols globally.
Good. Yes. So they are also responsible for identifying and assessing the security threats.
Yeah.
They also ensure implementation of preventive measures. And they are also enhancing coordination between the ships and ports facilities. And then they also establish access control and surveillance systems. Okay, so we check the rest and then class rep, we'll talk. Let me leave you for now because of okay, but if there is a suggestion or contribution or something, next week when we meet, we'll look at. So we've stopped up to question 3, right?
Yes, sir. Question 3, sir.
Yeah, so we have 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Or we should finish all today if you are not tired.
Sir,
Yes.
Just a quick one. So I believe the slides that will be shared with us, we will
Yes,
still
I'm
have
going
the
to. Yes, I'm going to do that right away. I'm going to do
Okay.
that right after the class. Yes.
Right.
I think so far, class rep, you have all the slides.
Yes, please, sir. We have all of them. So,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So except
so
the
sir,
first outline.
a quick one.
Yes.
A question. So the vessels at the port. So who is in charge of its safety? Is it the port and harbor, or they have their own security? Unlike Ghana Airport or Ghana Airport Company, where the airlines are in charge of their own securities.
Security in terms of.
In terms of protecting the various like vessels, you know, airport for instance, when you come to operation or the safety of the aircraft, it is the airlines, let's say Qatar Airways. So it is the responsibility of the airline or the operator, that's the airline, to see the safety of the aircraft for it to like yes. So though we have airport security, aviation security, which is who is in charge of access control or screening. That's where authorization and identification to before you get access to the restricted area. That's the air side. But after that one, we have the airlines have their personal security for the safety of the. So I want to know whether if it is the same at the port.
When you talk about the security issues over here, um, a whole lot of things we need to look at it from different perspectives, because in terms of access and all that, we have to make sure people that are going to enter into maybe if you have access to go to this zone, maybe terminal 1 or 2 or 3, those authorized to actually go there. So the authorities are responsible for that, and they know that's how come the units, the supervisors, and all that, they are all there making sure that unauthorized people, if you don't have access to the place, we don't just allow you to enter. And so the authorities are indeed responsible for that. And that is how come they have assigned people to be responsible for the activities that are actually being carried out over there. So that at the end of the day, you don't just enter. If you don't have permits, then you just enter. So the authorities are there ensuring that. So they have a breakdown wherever that you go, the units, they will have their safety and security measures to make sure that the right people are coming in, the right people are also going out.
Yeah.
Hello, Randolph.
Yes. Yes. So when it comes to safety, it is
Okay,
everybody's.
so yeah, he was touching on the security first. Maybe you come to the safety. So if you can help him to understand the security. Paul, do you have any question so that Randolph will also? Or
Yeah,
you
sir.
also like to
It's
know
okay. Maybe he wants to add to.
the safety aspect to it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Randolph, so I mean you can speak to it, the safety aspect as well.
Yeah, because what I wanted to add is that yes, the port has its responsibility, so are the vessels itself. Because most of the times, I've been on vessels for 3 occasions where we just brought back stowaways on board.
Okay.
Those people are people who came on board with accreditations and all that, but they ended up, hiding somewhere in the vessels and all that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as part of the trip's crew, I think when they go at anchorage, they also conduct searches and make sure that everything is okay before they set out finally from Ghana waters.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that
So
it is
Paul,
the port
yeah,
to do
Paul,
it.
so you could see that once they are entering, they are coming to us. The authorities are responsible for that. And even when they have other issues, we have to detect it, or we should be able to identify, and then we can report it. So that at the end of the day, they will know that it is not coming from us, but it came from maybe a different jurisdiction and all that. Thank you, Randolph. Paul, I hope you are okay.
Yes, very clear, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. So I have another small agenda. You know, Sundays, some small agenda, but I don't know. So that's
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Well, so next week, so we will solve the other questions as well. I don't know, but if we can use 10 minutes finish all. Glass replic.
We can
We
continue.
can also go and try them so that if you come, we'll discuss on that.
Okay, next week, God willing. Okay, thank you for your time. So I'm going to share with you.
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.